YouTube. My silver stacking goals for 2020? Well, slow and steady. Alright, so what are my stacking goals for 2020? Well, they're basically the same stacking goals I had for 2019 to increase the amount of silver ounces into my stack. So I talked to Phil a little bit about that. We discussed the subject a little bit, and I'll share with you guys some of the things that he said, some advice he gave, and then I'll share with you guys some of the personal things that go into making my goals.
New Year rolls around and you just kind of keep doing. If you're comfortable with what you're doing, just keep doing it. Resources might change a little bit. You might have to change up on how much you buy, either more or less. But for the most part, if you enjoy what you're doing and it's working for you, continue to do it.
Right.
Coin collecting has always been for longevity.
Right.
I mean, the success in coin collecting or silver or gold or bullion collecting in general, any type of collecting, is consistency and longevity are the two things that provide you at the end of the rainbow here in terms of what you accumulate over time.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent and just continue to do it with whatever resources you can muster to do it. And if you continue to do it, you'll be surprised what you can accumulate over a period of
Absolutely.
time.
All right, so that's pretty much my thinking. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And I've had goals over the years, and the goals that I make for myself is always to exceed the goal previous, to go a little bit further. And I found by doing that, I had to modify everything. Everything shifts. So I think my goals are going to be pretty simple from here on out. They were pretty simple last year. They're going to be pretty simple this year. And that is to put a certain percentage of my savings into precious metals, into silver. In order to do that, I have to have a budget to allow for that. And the thing about it is, if you change your goals, if you modify your goals, you're going to have to modify your budget. And to me, if your budget is working, if you're putting a good amount of silver into your stack without having to worry about going back into it and liquidating some in order to make certain ends meet, I think why change it? I mean, if they're working for you, why change it? Now, definitely if finances change, if things change, if you get a raise or an inheritance or whatever, then definitely modify your budget to where you can put more silver into your savings. But if everything's pretty much the same as it was last year, then just keep adding silver. I mean, picture where you want to be in 10, 15, 20 years and slowly and steadily build towards that. You don't have to modify your budget where if you stack 10 ounces a week to go to 15 ounces. I mean, you don't have to do that unless you're able to do that by some difference in your finances. If your finances haven't changed, if your situation hasn't changed, then why modify your budget? And if you don't have to modify your budget, then don't change your goal. Have your goal be a certain amount of silver every week. Once you reach that goal, just continue that goal. Just continue that goal until you are ready to retire or what have you, because there are certain pitfalls that come along with changing that.
It's always not a good situation when somebody comes in, they buy a fair amount of silver, and then 2 weeks later you see them back selling it all back because something came up. And
right.
I've always told people, never take food off your table to buy silver
right.
or gold or really any collectible. I mean, this has to be money that you've set aside for non-use on a daily basis.
Right.
You're not living off of it. You're not expecting it to go up so you can sell it and make a profit. It's just not. It's not intended for that, and you won't get any enjoyment doing that.
Right.
Your enjoyment comes, like I say, from purchasing it. And if you're always worried that you're going to have to sell it back, you don't get any fun out of doing that.
Right.
So it should always be money that, even if you have to hone down what you're spending, make it so it's put away and you kind of forget about it and you're on to the next venture of buying versus worrying about having to go into whatever you've already purchased and have to go sell it to do something that you want.
All right, so over the years of stacking, I've found that a few things come into play when you set a goal. And that is, if you watch spot price, or if you watch the silver market ups and downs of the silver market, you'll be tempted to modify your goal. And there's a lot of things that come along with that. So I would say if you set a goal, let's say your goal is 5 ounces a week of silver, then stay with that. Because if you watch the silver market too closely, you'll be tempted to modify that. You'll be tempted to add some more silver, more ounces to your goal, and there's a slew of pitfalls in that. Or you'll be tempted to bring back some of the ounces or cut down on some of the ounces. So my advice is if you're stacking that 5 ounces comfortably, then just stick with that. Regardless of where the silver market goes, regardless of where spot price goes, just stick with the goal that you set. Now, when 2020 comes to an end and you want to make a budget for 2021, then that's the time to modify it. Now, don't get me wrong, if there's some huge changes in the market, like if silver goes up to $50 or $60 an ounce or down to $4 or $5 an ounce, then absolutely, make whatever changes you got to make. But if everything's pretty much the same, then keep your goal consistent regardless of where silver goes.
The point is you're always watching it, and that may be what you don't want to do. If you're constantly watching silver, then you're always at odds. You're at tug of war with yourself. If it goes up, should I sell? If it goes down, should I buy more? That's the strategy I'm trying to get people away from, because if you are in the long term, essentially what you want to do is just have a certain amount of excess money that you're going to spend on silver. And when you go buy it, that's what it costs. If it includes tax, that's what it costs. And you move on to the next day and the next month and the next year, and you continue to do that. And over time, that's where you start accumulating. And that's why I talk about longevity in terms of anything you do. If you're going to stay in something for the long term, then there's going to be ups and downs along the way, but you just have to, work through them as if they weren't there and continue to move on.
All right, so my goal for 2020 is pretty simple, pretty basic goal, and that is I've determined a certain percentage of my savings that I want to go into precious metals. And so my goal is to maintain that percentage throughout the year. So it's not a specific amount of ounces that I want to stack or a specific amount of money that I want to put into precious metals. It's a percentage of my income that I want to maintain, because silver is going to move around. The price of silver is going to move around throughout the year. We all know that. So it's simple. It's a lot simpler if you have a certain percentage that you want to maintain as opposed to a certain amount of ounces you want to stack. Now, of course, there's a certain amount of ounces that correlates to that percentage. But my goal is not to maintain so strictly to those ounces, because I can buy a little less this week, maybe buy a little more next week, modify it that way, as long as I stay consistent with my goal to maintain a certain percentage of my income into precious metals. Now, that works for me. Everybody's going to have their own set of goals, their own set of ways to reach those goals, their own mindset. But that works for me. The point I want to make is to be consistent. When you set a goal, be consistent with that goal. Don't set a goal and then halfway through see somebody else's goal or change your mind based on where spot price is and all that. Because if you do that, it's just not going to be. It's not going to allow you to be as consistent as you want to be when you're dealing with precious metals. Anyway, I guess that's all I want to say about that. A pretty basic video today. I got some things coming up right now. It's in the middle of winter where I'm at. And so the weather is not allowing me to get out and do some of the things that I want to do with you guys this year. But I am so excited about some of the things that I got coming up as far as the videos that I'm going to post and the places that I'm going to go and the people that I'm going to talk to. And I think you guys will be as excited about it as I am right now. So anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by. Set those goals. Goals are important. It motivates you. So if you got any comments, leave them for me and I will definitely read them all. If you ask me a question, I will try to answer it to the best of my ability or point you in the right direction. And give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. And if you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and you'll be notified when I drop another video, which will be pretty soon. Anyway, appreciate you stopping by. Keep stacking. Peace.